It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company. Tackle their heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical problems, and they can protect your home too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. And by the sound of my voice, I'm Zach Lyons, and you can probably tell that I am very tired. This is way past my bedtime. I'm joined by Dr. Dyson, who's probably even more tired than I am because he was been on Ramon and Will for the past 2 mornings, filling in for Ramon Foster. And then, of course, I got Stoney Keeley as well from Football and Other Efforts, my co-host over there. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. The Tennessee Titans had touchdown drives of 85 yards and 95 yards, including guy that was cut last week, your wide receiver one, Stoney Van Jefferson, with a 65-yard reception touchdown where he showed off his speed, his technique, a little bit of route running right there. Let's start off, though, talking about Cam Ward. He's not a finished product. Mm-hmm. It's 3 preseason games, but Dr. Dyson, have you seen enough from Cam Ward to say, hey, I'm feeling pretty good about where this is headed for Cam Ward in this offense?
Absolutely. I saw that long time ago. I think just when he came in as a new guy, newly drafted, the verbiage that he was speaking, his intentionality with his work ethic, how he embedded himself into the fabric of the team and just became one of the guys real quick, that was enough for me right there. But then you saw him just progressively getting better. And I think that's the big thing about him. You do an evaluation this year is the difference from him so far. Now, we still got to play real games, is that he seems to learn from his mistakes. And Levis seemed to have to do them over and over again and get told over and over again. And that was why he ended up losing his position. And so at that, if we can get that, just a guy who's willing to humble himself and get better week to week, and he's the main guy, the head of the franchise, the face of the franchise, I think there's a lot to be excited about. And I think one thing people talk about going into this game was we hadn't seen him take the team down the field and get a touchdown drive. Now what?
Right.
So now he's got to play a full game.
Well, if you ask Twitter, it's that he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass.
Oh, my God.
They just can't be happy. You just can't be happy on Titans Twitter. And some of these are Giants fans that somehow found my tweet.
Well, they're still mad that they couldn't draft Cam Ward.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But, Stoney, we talk about explosives, and today there were 2 explosive runs and 1 explosive pass to your wide receiver one, Van Jefferson. And that narrative is not going away. The chat's not going to let you forget that. The chat
is on me. I'm just going to own it at this point.
Yeah, you just have to own it.
Van Jefferson, wide receiver one.
But, we saw Van Jefferson come through in the clutch. It's all about building chemistry with others because me and Blaine talked about this on Cover 2 today was that, okay, we know that he has chemistry with Calvin Ridley. We haven't really seen a lot of chemistry in a game for any of the other guys, and it sounds like Van Jefferson is a guy. He even said today in his press conference that, I want to put the ball in his hands when it's possible and let him go make plays. Mm-hmm. But did you see him spread the ball out and see some guys step up in Calvin Ridley's absence today?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was big for Van Jefferson to have that night tonight. One thing I jotted down watching the game live, Van Jefferson was playing tonight like y'all been talking bad about him all week, and he wanted to show you what he's capable of. And hey, he put a heck of a move on old buddy there and just broke the guy's ankles, left him in the dirt, showed some speed down the sideline. Really happy for Van Jefferson because I think we sat here on this show and told people not to panic. It's not that big of a deal. And again, the touchdown doesn't indicate necessarily of what's to come in the regular season. But to your point, I think it speaks to a certain mental toughness of this offense, and I think that comes from Cam Ward to have those bounce-back performances. And it's something that we've heard about all summer long, the leadership qualities from Cam Ward. Guys respond to him. Guys want to rally around him. And to see those things come to fruition, yes, it's the preseason, but these are the only 3 games we've gotten to judge him so far. And I think to see the guys respond to it and to see his selfless nature on the field, looking for open throws, looking for completions, something that Brian Callahan commented on in his presser today too. I think it's an encouraging thing. And man, this this rookie receiving core between the fourth-round draft picks, Ayumanner and DK. These guys have gotten a heavy workload this preseason, but it looks like the chemistry hasn't quite gotten there with them. So it's going to take finding some other guys and to develop some of that with Van Jefferson in this game tonight, I think is a positive development for the passing game.
Let me say this about Van Jefferson and what happened tonight. Even though that ball wasn't from Cam Ward, what he did was just put on film that he could still hit a home run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because really, the people thought he could just hit singles. He just catch it, fall down, whatever. He showed he can still hit home runs. And so people watching this film was like, oh, they got another guy that can take this to the house.
Yeah.
Lockett, maybe he's more of a move the chains type guy. We know Ridley is a speed guy, and he's kind of the guy Cam's looking to. Even though that ball didn't come from Cam, that is what you see on film is like, okay, we got to respect him.
Yeah.
And so that helps Ridley out even more if you have to respect the other guy.
One, same thing with Gunnar Helm last week, right? And even though Van Jefferson didn't catch that ball, what I keep kind of coming back to from last week is that Van Jefferson's in the right spot at the right time, and there's space. Now, whether that's because of his route running, the play calling and play design, or maybe a little bit of both, he is creating space where we haven't seen that a lot on a consistent basis from Tennessee Titans and their wide receivers. And I think that's going to – I think sometimes you have a guy like Van Jefferson. He had it was 800 yards season for the Rams when they went to the Super Bowl that year. Sometimes they just kind of like either get pushed down a depth chart because, Puka Nacua arrived in L.A., but then he goes to maybe a couple of different places that doesn't really fit his skill set and what he can do, and maybe this scheme gets the best out of Van Jefferson. Doesn't mean that he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver, but you don't need a 1,000-yard receiver. You just need Calvin Ridley. You need everybody else to play their part and kind of go as a group as a receiving unit. I think that Van Jefferson could do that for you.
Well, you look at what Callahan's used to, and you take the two Tennessee products, T. Higgins and Van Jefferson, and they're very similar. They're very similar in how they approach the game. They're more lanky, rangy guys. They're not really, quote-unquote, route runners, but they can get open and use their bodies to create space, to create catching space, I should say. And they complement the speedy route runner guy on the other side. And they become, and T. Higgins is a 1,000-yard receiver.
Yeah.
He was coveted. People were like, please get him here, right? Van Jefferson, I think, he's still young. He's 28, 27, 28.
Yeah.
He has that ability in him to be a 1,000-yard receiver. Now, 1,000-yard receiver is opportunity.
Right.
You got to get catches, got to get touches.
Can't have drops.
17-game season, averaging about, 65 yards a game, 70, 68 yards a game. That's very doable. And he's proven he can do that. But he hasn't done it yet, but 800 yards is not snip fat either. But I think this could end up being a good year for him just because I truly believe Cam Ridley is going to have a dynamic year, and eventually that rotation's got to come that way. That leaves you on the island by yourself. What are you going to do with it?
Well, look at it this way. We've talked about how this team can get into a top, 10 offense, or top 5 pass catching unit because that's what Cam Ward had talked about. But you got to remember the second leading receiver in yardage was Nick Westbrook-Akine with 497 yards. And he only started 9 games.
Yeah.
So if you, kind of take that as a whole season with Van Jefferson, well, you may get, that.
Yeah.
Like you'll get more than that, obviously, if you get 17 games. But if you get more than that, that boosts that total. You also got Tyler Boyd at 390 yards. Well, Tyler Lockett last year had 600 yards.
Yeah.
If that happens, you boost that total. And the whole point is you have to have – it can't just be Calvin Ridley.
Right.
It has to be everybody else, and that's how this offense flows.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about this offense. We'll also take your calls, 615-737-1045 when we come back. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need, visit them online at leecompany.com. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Available 24/7. Put Lee Company on your team to tackle your home's heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical problems. Schedule online at leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Kroger is set to check out today's final sack numbers tonight as Titans edge Jalen Harrell gets a sack, the lone sack for the Tennessee Titans defense, adding $100 to Kroger's donation to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee, bringing that total to $400 on the season. Every time the Titans sack the opposing team's quarterback, Kroger donates $100. Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee from Kroger. Through its Zero Hunger, Zero Waste plan, Kroger is committed to creating communities free of hunger and waste. Kroger is the official tailgate headquarters of the Tennessee Titans. Try Boost by Kroger Plus for free pickup and delivery, plus 2 times the fuel points with your membership. Start your free trial today at Kroger.com. Pay as low as 1 cent per gallon when you redeem fuel points by using your shopper's card. Every 100 points gets you 10 cents off per gallon. Exclusions apply. Visit Kroger.com for details. Almost got through that without messing up. I'm Zach Lyons. I'm joined by Titans legend, Dr. Kevin Dyson. Of course, Titans fan legend, Stoney Keeley, co-host of Football and Afterwards. We got Jackson Williams behind the glass producing. And we got calls to take, 615-737-1045. Joe and Gallatin, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hey, how y'all all doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing very good. I just wanted to bring up, I wanted to actually talk, well, I just wanted to pass this on to Coach Mack. One observation I had with our rookie quarterback, which I love him to death. I think he's probably one of the greatest things that happened in Nashville recently. The only thing is, if you check the film, and this is one thing I've been looking at, if you do a pre-read, and you know as a quarterback, when you go up to the line of scrimmage and you do a pre-read, he seems like he's looking, and I think that's probably because he wants to be successful in his throw. So he does a pre-read. If you go back and look at the film, 90% of the time, and I did this, I went back and looked at the film and all the preseasons for his first 3 games. 90% of the time, his first read is to his first throw. So the defense, if you're a defense coordinator on another team and you're reading his offensive play, you're going to see that from him early in his development. Is this going to be a problem for us or what? I'm asking, do we need, as an offensive coordinator, an offensive quarterback coach, take a look at that and say, hey, Cam, you might need to make a bigger scam over the defense rather than doing that read that quickly and thinking you're just going to go to that guy? That's my question.
All right. Well, I'll pass that question along to Coach Mack when we do the Mack Attack on cover 2, but I'll also throw it to you guys. He's talking about first read throw rate for Cam Ward. He by his eyes, he's saying about 90% of the time. I can at least think of 3 or 4 where I see him going through 4 reads.
Yeah.
And he's saying predetermined reads and then first read throw rate. I mean, what have you seen on the tape on that, Kevin Dyson?
So we're being critical of him going through his pre-snap determination and hitting the right guy?
I think he's worried that it could be something defenses pick up on.
Let me say this then for that.
Yeah.
Probably, maybe. And that's what happens, especially young quarterbacks. They start figuring you out. They start playing games, moving pieces around. And that's the development of then the quarterback has to adjust and figure that stuff out. So if we're going to say that, oh, yeah, he's doing pre-snap reads and he's hitting the right guy, the first read on time, then he's doing what he's supposed to do. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. And you just named 3 or 4 occasions where it wasn't there. I went to this guy, wasn't there, I went to another one.
Yeah.
And we've seen him do that as well. So I wouldn't get too out of shape over him doing that and coordinators catching on to that. Because right now, nobody's really scheming like that yet. Now, they're going to start throwing some stuff at him, see if he can pick up stuff and try to trick him. And if they get him, you're going to see another team do it. And if he gets it again, you're going to see another team do it. But I think you should be complimentary of the fact that he is scanning, and says, oh, I'm predetermined. That's where this ball should go, and he's doing it. And he's having high completion rate other than last week, 3 for 7 with a drop. But to me, that's positive. Now, what you'll see, what we might see with Jaden Daniels, which we'll see, we saw with Stroud, we've seen with Jalen Hurts, we've seen a slight drop-off in the production the second year because coordinators had a whole offseason to figure some things out and maneuver and do some pieces. But as long as he's the student of the game as he is, I don't think his learning curve is going to be that long. Because I like, and I hate to do the whole thing to Will Levis, but our comparison is his first year started last year to this year, and I didn't get that from Will, as I feel like we had that with Cam, and that's what has me excited about Cam Ward.
Yeah, I don't see right now any issue with it because I mean I get that he's trying to maybe plan for the worst case scenario because this is Tennessee Titans. And we were talking about it like, if it doesn't work with Cam Ward, we might as well just shut this franchise down. Because, like, I just feel I'm just that confident that Cam Ward is that good and that good of a player. But you're right. Like, there's a difference between maybe Will Levis going to his first read and Cam Ward because I go back to that Packers game where he threw the pick 6 to Jair Alexander's side. And you kind of know that if Jair Alexander's over there, you may want to, like, kind of look at the field, kind of determine always find out where Jair Alexander's at so you have that awareness. And I do think what we've seen from Cam Ward, at least at training camp and in these games, with his pre-snap ability and even post-snap ability, he's processing maybe at a higher rate than we are used to seeing.
The last year or two. Anyway.
Yeah.
I haven't had an issue with this so far in the preseason. I think he's done a fantastic job of going through his reads, looking for completions, finding the open man. And if anything, if there is some evidence this preseason that this is not a telegraphed practice, as in this is where I'm going to go with the ball, I do think it's more of reading the defense and seeing where they're aligned and adjusting, scanning the field that sort of way. If you look back at the near interception in the Buccaneers game, he throws that ball because he identifies where the safety is aligned and he thinks he's further inside and can't get over to the sideline to help. So it looks to him like he's got a one-on-one matchup with Alec Ayumanor. It's not how things turned out, but to me, that's evidence of him not telegraphing, forcing a throw, but just going out there and scanning the defense to see where everybody's at and where he has an opportunity to pick up a completion.
Yeah, and this first week in 16 days, as we figured out, is a great first matchup. Hostile environment, one of the loudest stadiums, outdoor stadiums in the National Football League. Thin air, hard to breathe. It's your first really full dress rehearsal.
Yep.
Go out here to see what you have against one of the best defenses in the National Football League.
Yeah.
And probably, if he's not the best corner, he's right there, number 2, number 3 in Patrick Surtain.
Yeah.
And he's going to be on Ridley.
Yep.
So what do you do? And we haven't seen no zone blitz, and we haven't seen a whole bunch of games on the inside. We haven't seen a lot of stuff. So to that caller's point, is this something to be concerned about? No, because he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. Now, when they start throwing body blows and they you go down, they throw that left hook, how do you adjust? And that's where he's going to have to get better at. And that first week is going to be a good test.
Yep. You talk about, they mentioned today that they have kind of a governor on them. Obviously, because preseason, you don't want to take any unnecessary risks. If we all remember that Will Levis threw his shoulder in a preseason game, which crossed over the goal line, but they kind of put a governor on Cam Ward with his mobility.
Yeah, we haven't seen him scramble.
Right.
Not
we haven't
really.
really seen him scramble, right? And then on top of that, he's taking what the defenses give him. It's a bland offense versus a bland defense, and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. So it may look like, oh, well, he's always going to the first read, but maybe that's just what they're telling him that he needs to do because they need to see a certain look or see him react. And in fact, today was the first time they even saw a zero today.
Yeah.
Like they had cover zero, and they hadn't seen that yet. So this was the first time that he's seen that, and he actually looked pretty good against it.
Yeah, he did.
So, I mean, it's a long season, and there's going to be bumps along the way, but they have tried everything they can through training camp to prepare him for every eventuality. They're talking about they're throwing just everything at him in defense. I mean, Brian Callahan was on the Greenlight podcast. That's Chris Long's podcast for this week. And he says, I asked Denard Wilson to just throw everything at him, and it makes me even so mad. I know he's doing it, but there's some times where I just want to flick off Denard Wilson because he wins.
Yeah.
But he says that's the point because he is testing Cam Ward right out of the gate.
Yeah, and that's just good preparation. The only thing they could do better is what they did with Jaden Daniels, put the AI headset in. And
but he's using it.
Oh, is it? See, there you go. That's perfect.
They Easton Freeze over at A to Z Sports he actually put it on and did it himself. But it's something you can even crank up to like 20 times speed and everything on
they
that.
should process things a lot faster.
Yeah.
So to that college point, if he's doing that means he's processing the game already at a different rate than most rookies are. So he already knows we're going to football. He should be happy with that. Now, there will be some, like we said, some adjustments. Saw some cover zero, all that. And how does he adjust from that? And that's, to me, what got me excited, man, is just he gets it. And I think his teammates you see how they just kind of gravitate towards him.
Yep.
And I don't think you saw that. It's not the bash Will Levis show. I don't mean like that, but you did not see that with him. It was kind of like he was the quarterback. He's over there talking by himself. He tried to rally troops and shake hands. And it's just, guys, they were shutting his hands away or anything like that. But it's just, with Cam, it just seems like he's one of the fellas already. And we're gonna follow him. He's our leader. And that goes a long way, man. That goes without saying. Like, if he's out there battling, we were like, when Steve was hurt and we knew he'd come out there with cracked ribs, he's still out there diving over the pylon trying to get the end zone. We're like, well, that's the quarterback. If he's doing that, what am I doing? You know what I mean? That goes a long way.
And it just goes to show, too, that the leadership qualities are not something you can coach. You can't just put somebody in a position to be the quarterback and expect them to just have this team rallying around them. So,
Well, I mean, it goes to, I've heard several different stories this week. Cam Ward, before the Atlanta game, went out to dinner with just the defensive lineman.
Yeah.
He's gone out to dinner with just the offensive lineman. We talk about this mentality. You talked about Van Jefferson earlier in the show, talked about the mentality of being able to overcome stuff. Well, we've seen him overcome a penalty in the first game, right?
Yeah.
And he led him down. We saw him today overcome a sack, overcome 3 and outs, and lead scoring drives. Like, we didn't see that last year because offensive line, because of the quarterback, because maybe situational, just how the game was unfolding. The game got away from them, and they had a hard time. We've heard Peter Skronsky talk about it, Nick Vanette talk about it. They had a hard time overcoming those negative plays.
Yep.
And this does not seem to faze him whatsoever. This is, for whatever reason, like, props to the Ward family for raising a son like this, because, like, he is unfazed by anything. And Tyler Lockett was on the Jim Rome show this week, and he said, this is just, he breathes football. Like, this is what he wants to be. I would go back to when the pre-draft process where he was like talking to Shadur Sanders. He's like, oh, why don't you want to rap with me or something? And Kim Ward's like, I want to be known as a football player. When you search me up in Wikipedia, it's going to say American football player.
Yeah.
Today, he talks about, what did he talk about today? Do you have something to prove to all the people outside? He's like, no, I have something to prove to my team.
Yep, me and my teammates, that's it.
Do it for the people in the building.
Yeah.
Do it for the people in the building.
That's
and
it.
They have this nothing to lose mentality right now. He brought it up today. He says we were 3-14 last year.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
I thought that too.
And he said, we are 3-14 last year. We have nothing to lose.
Yep.
What I'm really curious about, and I don't know that we've talked about this before on this show, but it kind of feels like an element that this team was missing last year. When times got tough, who was the person that the team rallied around to dig themselves out of that hole? Yeah. I don't know the answer to that question. Maybe somebody.
Big Jeff was the overall leader.
Yeah.
But he's an emotional leader too, right? They needed somebody like Cam, who's an emotional player, but he also has a common presence about him, and he's also the face of the franchise. Will Levis wasn't that. Big Jeff tried, and they tried to put Big Jeff out there in front, but it just didn't connect because he's a D tackle. No disrespect to Big Jeff, he's one of the best players ever come through here. But it's different when it comes from the guy taking snaps. It just is.
So it feels like another area where they've upgraded, and it could help to exponentially unlock the offense too.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, I still say like it's probably a 6-win season, 7-win season, but I'm not going to be
great.
really totally surprised. Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
But I'm really not going to be surprised if maybe they rattle off an 8-win season.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 12-win season, don't know about that, but
Okay, if we really want to step over the edge here,
don't do it. Don't do it.
8 wins. The AFC South looking like it's
That's
looking
what
right
I was
now.
saying this morning.
Yep.
Because the AFC South is what it is. And then I'll go back to what Jaden Daniels did last year in their projections. Their projections going to the season was probably around the same time what we're talking about. And guess what happened? He ended up being the player that he is. They got hot. They won a few games. They had the Hail Mary game and all the different things. And you have some opportunities like that. Next thing you know, you're in the playoffs. You know what I mean? And there's something we haven't even mentioned today that we were so concerned about going into the end of the season, and it was so bad. Like, there was 3 starters out of that lineup today,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't even recognize it because they played at a high level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, we're worried about the depth offensive line, and today they had 3 backups in, and you wouldn't even know anything until you look. I was like, dang, that's not even. Oh, they played well. So so it's starting to catch fire. Everybody's starting picking this thing up a little bit, and it's exciting. I mean, and the schedule is favorable.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, once you get out of that first 4 weeks, you have one of the top 10 easiest schedules in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, based on Vegas odd win totals, which is a better way to look at than just like what they won last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not impossible. It really does. It's not, to me, it doesn't really come down to Cam Ward. It really comes down to the offensive line staying healthy and being what we saw in the preseason. They don't have to have perfect pockets throughout the whole game, every game. It's pretty much impossible.
Right.
But if you take this, and ESPN crazily projecting this as a top 5 offensive line unit, if it ends up being top 5, we are probably talking playoffs here in about
you're talking about 8, 9, maybe
14 weeks. Like we're going to be in the hunt.
Yeah.
And it will be real interesting. But to me, it really is this mentality, this buy-in from the staff, from the players, from Cam Ward in himself. Like it's very unique. Like that is franchise quarterback quality stuff, and it's genuine.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel forced.
Yeah.
And
it's authentic.
It feels like it's been quite a while. And to go past Levis, we keep mentioning his name, but to go past Levis, to feel something like this, where it's just, it feels like, an entire team in lockstep moving in the same direction.
Yeah.
And there's hope. I told you, we were watching the game, I'm like, man, the vibes just seem off the chart with this team right now.
Yeah.
They do?
I just hope the fans, because, you got Denver and Rams first 2 weeks, right? Or is it Chargers? One of the two. It's one of the LA teams the first 2 weeks, right?
Rams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was it like and then after that you're at home and all that good things. But listen, if you get past that gauntlet, whatever we call it, gauntlet, because it's NFL, anybody could be anybody. It depends on the day. And you sitting there in that first quarter of the season, 2-2. It's hard.
You're ecstatic.
Easy, because then that October, November comes around, you're at home almost the whole 2 months almost, and you get an opportunity to be here. And now it's NFL. They've done some changes, but based off of last year's success, they're winnable games. The Colts twice, Houston's in there, Jacksonville's in there, and so you got 4 division games in those 6 to 10 games. I can't remember how many it is. And you have a chance to take a stronghold in the division. Daniel Jones at the Colts being a starter does not scare me. I mean, does he worry y'all? I don't know. Him or Richardson didn't worry me. Trevor Lawrence, you don't know which one you're going to get. He needs to be healthy. Stroud is the one quarterback in the division that you're like.
O-line.
But the O-line is strong. And they got rid of their best tackle.
Yeah.
So, and the Titans can get after him. So, and it's a rival. So you just never know what happens with rivals. So, man, it's exciting to think about. I mean, again, we're getting kind of far ahead of ourselves, but it's exciting to think about the potential of this team this year. And because last year, optimism went out the window real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were just like, man, hope they get a win again. Like you talking about, like,
Right.
just get another win and we'd be all right, But it just went out the window.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. We might need to start spreading some negativity, or if they lose week 1, we're going to have Titans fans at the ledge. We've pumped them up too much.
But I will
we're
say
inflating
this:
the
it's nice to have
expectations.
hope.
It is.
I don't know. I think last year we had newness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now we have hope.
that's a good way of putting
that's
it.
true.
That's
Yeah.
a good way of putting it.
Newness versus hope.
And Denver is going to be in contention for the AFC West.
Yeah.
I think they might be in contention for the entire
Yeah.
AFC. I mean, the way that's a well-coached team. They've
Well, if
got
you
a
listen
really
to
good roster.
Sean Payton, he thinks Super Bowl team. All right, we got to go to break. When we come back, we'll go to Bustin' Diamond, and we also got Joe as well, apparently wants to call in with a follow-up. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company. All you need, visit them online at leecompany.com. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company. Tackle their heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical problems, and they can protect your home too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Fusion Site is the Titans provider of top-of-the-line VIP restroom, trailer, and roll-off dumpster needs. Fusion Site, Nashville's MVP. Visit fusionsite.com to learn more. We got to go to Bustin' Diamond real quick. He's been on the line. Bustin' Diamond, it's time for your Titans Talkback.
Good evening, fellows. Just want to give an eternal quote here. Shout out to Stringer Bell. But I want you to put the word out there that we are back up. I'll get this out of the way first. Tony, like I said, Nissan Al-Gaib with the Van Jefferson take. The dude knows ball. It's crazy. Dr. Dyson, one of my favorite players of all time. Zach, one of my favorite Titans follows. A couple observations from the game before I get my question tonight. Right side of the line being backup didn't seem to bother Cam much, which I really liked, because we all know he's definitely going to be seeing or having some backups in front of him at some point this year. I also want to say that it's very telling about Big Jeff's quote, or Callahan's quote, about what Big Jeff said to him, asking him to play in the post-game press conference. I don't think I've ever heard that from any of the coaches in the past. I also want to give a special shout-out to Gorilla. Hey, Gorilla, guess what? We do breed dogs in Nashville, and you saw one play tonight. But to my main question, to you guys, who all do you think in the wide receiver room is going to take the NWI role this year, a.k.a. who can I bet for anytime touchdown on? Thank you, guys. Have a good night, and tighten up.
Hey,
Thank you, Bustin'.
Bustin' is all right. I mean, you quote The Wire. We are really good. That's one of my favorite series back in the day. I love that series.
I don't know if there's going to be like a 9-touchdown, anytime touchdown guy, like, kind of like that. I guess if you had to bet right now, you'd have to say Calvin Ridley, because he may be just scoring from outside the red zone.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe it's a Bryce Oliver situation. Maybe it's Van Jefferson. Alec Iamander, I'm just not there yet to ready. I don't want you to be putting money down on Alec Iamander. That'd be irresponsible.
I think
betting.
I was going to go kind of saying it'll be a combination of Jefferson and Alec. And because when we're talking about, NWI was amongst the league leaders in touchdowns. He didn't have a whole lot. He was like a catch touchdown. Every other catch was a touchdown. So it wasn't like he had a whole lot of touches. He just became the vertical threat of a team that needed something, And I think it'll be a combination between Van Jefferson and some of the other young guys, maybe even Oliver, because you got to have that compliment to Ridley. And when you get in that red zone, some of these big bodies like Jefferson and Alec and these 6'2", 6'3" big bodies, they become even more vital. And they got to win the 50-50 balls. And I keep going to Alec because that's what he was known for, is winning in the red zone. That's where he's going to make a lot of his money as a young guy is, hey, we're going to give you a chance in this red zone, go get it. And hopefully he comes down with more than he loses.
You said the name I was going to say is Bryce Oliver, and I don't want to put 9 touchdowns on that young man where he's at on the depth chart right now, but he reminds me somewhat of Nick Westbrook-Akine in his path to the NFL, undrafted guy that comes in. He's just a gritty player that will go out there and just do what he needs to do to see the field. We saw him with a physical run after the catch tonight with the stiff arm where he's like leapfrogging a guy and throwing a stiff arm at the same time. I think that he is a guy that can do a lot of those same things that kind of made NWI stick around. He's a scrappy player that'll get out there and block, and he'll catch the ball when you throw it to him. And so I wouldn't necessarily say go out there and place bets on anytime touchdowns, but I think as far as the path goes, Bryce Oliver is the guy that I see filling that role right now.
Yeah, and I also think that this team last year wanted to be more complementary with its run game. We heard Brian Callahan talk about that today after the game. We saw him really enact that in that drive. It was a complementary drive where run was effective, the pass was effective. I believe on that drive they had runs of 17 and 13, I think, on that drive. And then they also had the catches of 13 and 7 or 16, 17 from Van Jefferson and Eligiah Manor. So I think that they want to get those chunk yardage plays. They want to be complimentary soon where we're talking about anytime touchdown passes and stuff like that. It may be Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears if Tyjae Spears is healthy. Like, I think Tony Pollard's year last year could have been way better behind a better offensive line and having more opportunity than really what he did because the game is not so out of hand.
Yeah. And we're forgetting about Chig.
We're forgetting about Chig. Well, I mean, it seems like Cam Ward's kind of forgot about Chig. Yeah. And you got Gunnar Helm there too. Like, I mean, when you really start talking about these things and touchdowns and yardage and all that kind of stuff, there's a lot of guys that the Tennessee Titans are betting on, but I think that confidence is placed all in Cam Ward, but I think the confidence in these receivers and these offensive weapons is good. And I got to say this before we sign out here. Kicks Good in the F&M Bank chat on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live on YouTube says, if you can't see that Cam has all the intangibles to be special, I can't help you.
It's a bar. That is a bar.
That is a bar because, like, really, let's be honest. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. We're talking about we are seeing him elevate players in real time, not just by his mentality and leading by example, but what he's doing on the field too.
Yeah. And he's got the right kind of temperament for Nashville.
Yeah.
I
mean, he's a Nashville guy, and he just works hard and just humble.
Blue collar,
man. I love him.
Let me just say this before we get out of here. That drive, 90 plays, 8-minute time of possession, I think that is what they want this offense to look like. That balance, running the ball, punching defenses in the mouth, and then taking their shots when they present themselves.
Yeah. I agree. Sorry we couldn't get to you, Joe, on the follow-up here, but we just kind of ran out of time. I do promise this. I know that the post-game shows have been a little bit shorter than they normally are. That's just because it's the timing and the late preseason. Because we'll be back. You won't see us for a few weeks, but we'll be back. We'll be back September 7th. Titans at Broncos.
Go.
And it's going to be a game. And listen, it may not be a pretty game for Cam Ward. So I'm sure that we'll get a lot of phone calls if it's not, saying, oh, I can't believe you guys hyped up preseason Cam and all this kind of stuff. But that's all right. Here's the thing to remember about this, and I'll kind of go around the room about this Broncos game. It's just week one. Sometimes week one is a liar. We just need to keep that in mind. Win or lose, it can be a liar.
We've seen that happen.
Yeah, but these first 4 or 5 weeks, this team is figuring out who they really are. They have identities and mottos and mantras and stuff, but they're still trying to figure out who we are against competition in the regular season.
Yeah, and remember last year we was like, are they a run first team, pass first team? What's their identity?
Right.
And that remains to be seen. But I do know one thing: they got a face of the franchise, and this runs through him. Whatever they decide to do, it runs through Cam Ward.
Yep.
Yeah, and I would remind people this is arguably the best defense in the NFL that they're going up against. Yeah. And if they lose this game, it's not going to be the end of the world.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about Nix. He had quietly one of the best rookie seasons too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's really weird how last year shaped out because really Caleb Williams had a good rookie year, Jaden Daniels had a good rookie year, and Bo Nix had a good rookie year. That's very rare.
Very rare.
And it's looking like Michael Penix Jr. and Drake May could be dudes. We don't really know what J.J. McCarthy's going to be, but those guys could be dudes too. That's very, very
That's
rare.
That's a good draft class.
That's a very good draft class for all those teams. And you're hoping that this turns into a good draft class. Because I will have to say, last year's draft class, Ren Carthon's final year draft class, we're talking J.C. Latham, Tavondre Sweat, Cedric Gray, James Williams,
Jarvis
Brownlee Jr. That's 5 players that are probably either starting or heavily involved at their position.
Yeah.
And so really, to be honest with you, I mean, that guy had a good little draft class right there without Mike Vrabel involved. But
I think so.
This draft class is shaping up to be really good too.
Season's here.
Yep.
We're about to find out.
All right. You will see us back here after the game. The Titans at Broncos, September 7th, 2025. Lee Company, Titans Talkback, Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Titans radio coverage is produced by Joseph Bonanno, studio producer Justin Hawkins, studio host Lucas Panzica, promotions director Rich Ferris, director of sales Hunter Rice, general manager Allison Warren, operations manager Paul Mason, and executive producer Rhett Bryan. I'm Zach Lyons, joined by Dr. Kevin Dyson, Stoney Keeley. This has been the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 104.5 The Zone.